Have you ever wondered what's really going on behind the scenes in Formula One? Well, buckle up because today we're diving into some explosive developments that have shocked the racing world. In the last few days, the FIA has made some major moves, but the biggest of them all has to be the sudden removal of race director Neil Whitty. The timing is absolutely critical, just 3 races remain in the 2024 season. Was this a decision made by Whitty himself, or was he forced out? We've got a lot to unpack here, and you're going to want to hear all the details, especially if you're a fan of the sport. As we peel back the layers, another significant issue is causing a storm in the paddock Red Bull's controversial device that alters the ride height during parc fermé conditions. Many were left scratching their heads after the FIA's conclusion on this device. They claimed it was legal, much to the disappointment of McLaren and other teams who were hoping for a different outcome. How did Red Bull manage to get away with it? And why is the FIA under such scrutiny right now? These are the burning questions we need answers to. Now let's break it down step by step. The FIA has confirmed that Neil Whitty is no longer in charge as race director, which has sent shockwaves through the motorsport world. Whitty, who took on the role during the final stretch of the 2022 season, had previously shared the position with Eduardo Freitas after the controversy surrounding the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. His leadership had been mostly free of major controversy. Safety protocols were always a top priority, and the sport seemed to be running smoothly under his direction. So, what led to his sudden departure with just a few races left in the season? Well, sources close to the FIA suggest that Whitty wasn't simply stepping down for new opportunities as the official statement suggested. According to these sources, he was actually sacked. In fact, Whitty himself confirmed to Motorsport magazine that he did not resign, adding fuel to the fire. What's even more interesting is that senior F1 pundit Craig Slater believes that the tensions between Whitty and FIA president Ben Salle might have played a key role in his dismissal. Slater has reported that he was told Whitty was effectively forced out by the FIA, a move that many felt was inevitable given the pressure surrounding the sport. But why now? Why with just 3 races left in the season? It's a question many are asking, and the answer isn't so clear-cut. Some say it was a culmination of events, with Whitty's judgment coming under question during certain races, including the infamous rain delays in Sao Paulo. Despite this, the FIA has moved swiftly to appoint a new race director, Rui Marquez, who has experience with Formula 2 and Formula 3. The question now is whether this change will have any immediate impact on the sport as the final races of 2024 approach. As we turn our attention back to the FIA's handling of Red Bull's controversial device, the situation gets even more intriguing. Since the Singapore Grand Prix, Red Bull has found itself at the center of a heated debate over their ride height-altering device. This device was said to be used under parc fermé conditions to adjust the ride height between qualifying and the race itself, but after thorough investigation, the FIA concluded that the device wasn't a breach of any regulations. The findings were perplexing to many, especially considering the device's function didn't seem to offer any immediate performance boost. It added weight to the car but didn't seem to have any impact once the car was fully assembled. However, the controversy didn't stop there. In recent weeks, the FIA visited Red Bull's headquarters to conduct further checks on the device. After closely inspecting the car and the team's operations, they concluded that everything was within the legal limits. For many teams, particularly McLaren, this outcome was a bitter pill to swallow. How could such a device, which many believed gave Red Bull an unfair advantage, be deemed legal? This decision has certainly sparked some frustration, especially as we approach the final races of the 2024 season, where every point counts. The FIA's report was clear they had conducted a thorough investigation, visiting Red Bull's factory to examine their front floor design and assess whether the ride height-altering device was a violation of regulations. The outcome: no breach had been found, and the device was deemed legal, reinforcing the stance taken during the US Grand Prix in Austin. But this hasn't ended the debate. In fact, it's only fueled the fire. Teams like McLaren are clearly dissatisfied with the FIA's ruling, and the tension between the teams and the governing body is palpable. What's even more fascinating is how the FIA has handled this entire situation. There's been talk that the investigation might have been more about keeping the peace than actually finding wrongdoing. After all, with the championship battle getting closer and more intense, any missteps could lead to even more uproar. The FIA has been walking a fine line, balancing the interests of the teams, drivers, and fans. But as we approach the final stretch of the season, all eyes are on the governing body to see how they handle this issue, and whether any further revelations will come to light. Now, let's shift gears and focus on what happens next. With Neil Whitty's unexpected removal and Red Bull's controversial device cleared by the FIA, there's a lot at stake for the remaining races in 2024. The question everyone is asking is, how will these decisions affect the final outcomes? With only 3 races left, the pressure is mounting on every team, and the drama is far from over. While the focus has been on the FIA's actions and the handling of Red Bull's situation, the larger picture is starting to come into view. The appointment of Rui Marquez as the new race director has caused a stir in the paddock. Marquez brings with him a wealth of experience from Formula 2 and Formula 3, where he was deeply involved in enforcing stricter racing regulations. The FIA is hopeful that his expertise will bring a fresh perspective and ensure fair play across the grid. But given the high stakes of the final races, it remains to be seen how Marquez will handle the pressure and whether his decisions will be met with the same level of scrutiny that Whitty faced. For teams like McLaren, who have been vocal about their concerns regarding Red Bull's devices, the remaining races could be a critical battleground. The FIA's decision to clear Red Bull may have given them an edge, but it has also opened the door for more questions. Will other teams continue to challenge the legitimacy of Red Bull's designs, or will they accept the FIA's ruling and focus on their own performance? As we've seen in past seasons, any small advantage can make a huge difference, especially when the competition is so tight. In the midst of all this, there's a sense that the FIA might be trying to keep a lid on the controversy, particularly with the 2024 championship so close. As the battle between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris continues to heat up, the FIA's actions, or lack thereof, could play a pivotal role in deciding the final standings. With just a few races to go, any misstep could spark even more chaos within the paddock. But as the dust settles, one thing is clear: the tension is only going to rise in the final races of the season, and every decision made by the FIA will be under intense scrutiny. With the new race director in place and the FIA's controversial decision on Red Bull's device behind us, there's still one more significant issue brewing in the background. Throughout the 2024 season, McLaren has been under the microscope for various technical concerns, and one of the latest allegations involves a potential tire cooling trick. The claim suggests that former Red Bull employees now working with McLaren could be using a method to keep their tires cooler for longer, potentially giving them an edge during races. It's not the first time McLaren has found itself at the center of a technical dispute, and certainly not the last. This specific claim has sent shockwaves through the paddock, with many questioning whether McLaren is exploiting an advantage that could be deemed illegal. The FIA, however, has already investigated the matter and found no evidence of any wrongdoing. Director of Pirelli Mario Isola weighed in, stating that there was nothing unusual in the data they had collected and that no evidence of an illegal tire warming technique had been found. Despite the rumors, the FIA has cleared McLaren of any wrongdoings in this case. While this investigation may be over, it adds to the growing list of controversies this season. The scrutiny McLaren has faced isn't just about this issue alone. The team has had its fair share of technical complaints from rival teams. Let's not forget the Flexi Wing incident back in Baku, where other teams raised concerns over a possible illegal maneuver with McLaren's rear wing. Each of these disputes highlights the intense competition between the teams and the ever-growing pressure on the FIA to ensure fair play. The tire cooling trick might not have been proven, but it shows just how far teams are willing to go in order to gain an edge. With so much on the line in the final races of 2024, expect more drama as every team looks for ways to push the limits of what's allowed. Whether it's through innovative car designs or clever tactics, the final stretch of the season promises to keep everyone on the edge of their seats. As we close in on the final races of 2024, the tension within the paddock continues to build. The FIA has had its hands full, balancing the interests of teams, drivers, and the future of the sport. With Red Bull's controversial ride height device cleared, McLaren's tire cooling trick debunked, and the sudden departure of Neil Whitty, it's clear that the governing body is under intense scrutiny. But with just 3 races left, the real focus is shifting back to the championship fight. Max Verstappen, despite all the drama, is still in a commanding position, having extended his lead over Lando Norris in recent races. However, with the title still within reach for several teams, the final rounds will be crucial. McLaren and Norris, despite their frustrations with the FIA's decisions, still have the chance to fight for the runner-up spot in the driver's standings. The constructors' title is equally tight, and as we've seen before, anything can happen in Formula 1. One thing is for certain: the remaining races will be full of drama, strategy, and high stakes. As teams continue to push the boundaries of the regulations, every move made by the FIA will be watched closely. Will the new race director, Rui Marquez, bring a fresh approach to handling these high-pressure situations, or will he find himself tangled in the same controversies that plagued his predecessor? The final races of the season will tell us all we need to know. In the end, it's not just about who wins the championship in 2024, but about how the sport evolves and how the FIA navigates this ever-growing landscape of innovation and competition. The drama surrounding these decisions is far from over, and the story is far from finished.